Hi, here in this video, let's discuss about African literature. What defines African literature? African literature, the body of traditional oral and written literatures in Afro-Asiatic and African languages together with the works written by Africans in European languages. The main characteristics of all African literature include oral tradition, folk tales, slave narratives, and the African novel. Oral tradition involves the telling of stories, advice, and history to new generations by mouth. What are the major themes of African literature? Common themes include the clash between past and present, tradition and modernity, self and community, as well as politics and development. On the whole, female writers are today far better represented in African literature than they were prior to independence. What are the three phases of African literature? The African literature thrived in three periods, namely the pre-colonial era, the colonial era, and the post-colonial era. The pre-colonial literature is the literary works done before the coming of the white men to the African continent. A common theme during the colonial period is the slave narrative, often written in English or French for Western audiences. Among the first pieces of African literature to receive significant worldwide critical acclaim was Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, published in 1958. African literature is the last colonial period increasingly feature themes of liberation and independence. The African works best known in the West from the periods of colonization and the slave trade are primarily slave narratives such as Oloros, Equinos, the interesting narrative of the life of Ulda Equino, written in 1789. Among the first pieces of African literature to receive significant worldwide critical acclaim was the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, published in 1958. Late in the colonial era, Things Fall Apart and analyzed the effect of colonialism on traditional African society. With the liberation and increased literacy since most African nations gained their independence in the 1950s and 1960s, African literature has grown dramatically in quantity and in recognition, with numerous African works appearing in Western academic curricula and on best of lists compiled since the end of the 20th century.